of the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Welcome to the number one LA Clipper podcast out there. We want to first give you guys a shout out, LA Clipper fan, LA Clipper Nations, for being here. Share this podcast with your family and friends. They will not be disappointed, but let's get it popping.
Pull up in motorcades. I got a show today. It's all I'm trying to do. Hustle and motivate. Choppers to throw away. Hustle the overweight. That's why they follow me, huh? They think I know the way. Cause I took control of things. Ballin' the solo way. And if you pattern my trend, I make you my protege. Crossing that soldier race. Niggas don't know them days. Take you in back of the buildings. Make you expose your rage. Take you across the tracks. Make you explode the face. Now you official now. But you got a soul to say. I just been cooking that new. I'm about to drop in a few. Think if I call it the great, the people gon' call it the truth. I ain't really trip on the credit. I just paid all of my dues. I just respected the game. Now my name all in the news. Tripping on all of my moves. Quote me on this, got a lot more to prove. Remember I came in this bitch, fresh out the county with nothing to lose.
Nothing. No. Wanna count on you, but I don't do this shit for nothing. No, not at all. You, but my money red, that you do. Oh yeah, so I don't do this shit for nothing.
Rolling up some good, pulling up till we get faded. You know how we do it. Everybody take a flex on me. I got the keys to the city. I don't need no limousine. I turn up when I pull up. And tell my booking agent book a show. Running around with the paper bag. Running around with the paper bag. Going crazy spending all this cash. Going crazy spending all this cash. If I spend it, I'ma get it back. Even when I ride around dirty, a nigga don't need a seatbelt. A nigga don't need a seatbelt. Nah, it don't cost to keep it real. Run up, get done up. Shit can get real. Fuck around and get your ass rocked. Nigga, fuck around and take your shit. Got you asking God why. Drag your ass into an alley. Pull out aim for the target. Should've never been around the killers. In my town, we the fucking realest. No cheddar bars round here. I get the spray and they gon' get down. Ski mask over my face. Catch a body in broad day. Catch a body in broad day.
I got the key to the city. I got a hold of Shadiddy. Talk to that bitch in Swahili. Tattoo my name in graffiti. Whack out your hood in graffiti. Come through your hood on the weekly. None of y'all niggas can't see me. None of y'all niggas can't see me. Y'all ain't got nothing like this over there. Bunch of frontline millionaires. Bunch of self-made at the Trump pay. Guess the odds really took it there. Any problem, I'ma reappear. With a squad you already fear. All this time I've been playing fair. 7 digits every single year. Niggas die, niggas disappear. Alibis, I was really there. Life a crime till I get the chair. Columbine in my trigger hair. Still I rise and I took the stairs. Feel a fire, it's a different glare. All these fights, it was never fair. Busting knuckles, still I'm swinging fears. Takes the salt inside my dripping tears. You should know I never had a fear. You should know I never had a shot, never had a chance till I took it here. Man, it's proud, but I see it clear. Strategize, I'm an engineer. Pick a side, gotta keep it there. Switching up, nigga, looking weird. I got the key to the city. I got a hold of Shadiddy. Talk to that bitch in Swahili. Tattoo my name in graffiti. Whack out your hood in graffiti. Come through your hood on the weekly. None of y'all niggas can't see me. None of y'all niggas can't see me.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the Pull Up Show. I'm your host, Mr. BJ Matthews, aka B Jizzle. Before we get started, follow us on the YouTube page, the Pull Up Basketball Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. All of our YouTube videos, hit that like button as y'all come in here. Hit the share, subscribe, hit that Cash App, $, Slick Rick 1991 Son, $, Slick Rick 1991 Son for all this great content that we drop on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis. If you guys do not have Cash App, also can go to our Venmo at BJ/MATHEWS/1 at BJ/MATHEWS/1. That's our Venmo. Last but not least, if you guys do have either or, go to our super stickers, super comments that are available. Very simple. All you just gotta do is click that button in the bottom right hand corner that says thanks with that $ symbol. You guys can go ahead and donate to the Pull Up Basketball Podcast, the number one Clipper podcast out there. Let's get it popping. All right, so we up this morning, early in the morning, getting ready to cook, man. Law Murray interview actually will not be happening in a few hours. That's why I'm making this video now. Contrary with the schedule, we're gonna try to get that rescheduled sometime this week, but The Law Murray interview will not be happening this morning, at 8:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So, hold tight. You know what I'm saying? We're gonna get that. We're gonna get him in. Probably try to get him this week. I know the season starts, but we can probably get him for about 30 minutes. So, y'all just hang tight. But we could talk about something else I want to kind of talk about, and it seems to be pertaining to such a subject that has been talked about by many across the NBA waves, with everything that doesn't happen and transpire through time. It's funny how time works, man. Like, when you talk about things happening in the light of things, and things that happen during during the timeline, people have their opinions on what certain things should have happened, what should have not happened, and you know when a situation manifests itself, people have an opinion on what they should have done and what they shouldn't have not done, and things of that intricate in that nature. But this is something I've touched on here and there, but I haven't really gotten really deep in. I might have mentioned it in a live or in a show, or got really surface level with it, but I never really got into the nicks and crutch of this real situation. And the situation I'm talking about, did the Clippers make a mistake trading for Kawhi Leonard? And you could throw Paul George in there as well, but I'm talking more so for Kawhi Leonard. And I know people are kind of looking at it like, well, damn, like BJ, you telling me that you want to make this trade for Kawhi Leonard and all this stuff. I want y'all to sit back and really kind of take time to relax. I've been thinking about this for quite a while, and I wanted to have the first time to actually make this video, and I think it's a great time. Throughout the years, this isn't a subject that's really just popped up. This has been kind of going on throughout the last few years. Pertaining, because there's a lot of different factors that went into this situation. We're 5 years removed since Kawhi Leonard has joined the Los Angeles Clippers. With Kawhi Leonard being with the Clippers, we have not won a championship. Kawhi Leonard has not completed a playoff run in 4 years since the bubble in 2020. We have not gotten to the conference finals with Kawhi Leonard. We only went to one conference finals, and that was with Paul George leading them. Getting them, in the third round against the Phoenix Suns in 2021, and it's just been a sight that I have never seen before. A player of this caliber, in his prime, in his peak, coming off a championship, on the apex of his career, not able to enjoy the fruits of his labor to play in the most intricate part of the NBA season, which is the playoffs, which is his playground. I've said many times, the playoffs is Kawhi Leonard's battleground. If you ask me to pick anybody in the NBA, right? If I had a choice to pick the guy, if I had to bet my mortgage on, my rent, my car note, my well-being, if you ask me, go into the casino, BJ, you could bet on any player in the NBA, who would you take to lead you to a championship in the postseason? Is Kawhi Leonard. And that is crazy saying that, when this guy, we have not seen him complete a playoff run since 2020 in the bubble, which was the last time we completed, was him getting a 3-1 lead. But still, in itself, I'm talking about just who he is as a playoff performer. I think Kawhi Leonard is that guy. I think he is the guy in the playoffs that you put your money on, because he affects the game on both ends. Offensively, he's going to get you a big bucket when it calls to. He's going to go through a run of buckets where he's going to make big shots after big shots throughout his career. And on the other side, he's going to go out there and make the big defensive stop and guard the best player on the other side, take that challenge, right? He doesn't run away from no matchups, guards, forwards. He doesn't run around. He don't run from no matchups, centers. He's going to do whatever it takes to win. Talking about a guy who has the third best winning percentage of all time in Kawhi Leonard. There's a reason for that. Wherever he goes, it's always about winning. That's it. He understands how to win. He don't know nothing else but winning. Start off with the Spurs, winning franchise, right? He gets there, he gets a championship, gets a Finals MVP, takes the reins for a year over when Tim Duncan leaves, gets them to the conference finals their first year in 2017, and when he got hurt against the Warriors, and that's when the whole injury started, right? He goes to Toronto, gets another championship, right? As the guy, as the head guy, averaged 30 points in that playoff run, one of the most historic playoff runs we've ever seen. He, in that playoff run, is third on all-time scoring in NBA history for any player. Third, right? Got him a championship, averaged 8 rebounds, 8.9, pretty much 9 rebounds a game, 3.9 assists, 1.8 steals, right? 22 games, 30 points per game. That is on par with Michael Jordan did in 1992 NBA Finals. As far as the numbers and the moments and the record that they had, I think Kawhi went, 16-8 in that run, or 16-8 or 15-8, one of the two. As y'all come here, smash that like button. Got a lot to talk about. So here we are in 2024, October 21st, and we're asking this question. Why are we asking this question? It's because the points I just made. We have not been able to enjoy the Kawhi Leonard in Toronto since he has joined the Los Angeles Clippers, and it's been because of injuries. Nothing more, nothing less. So now that makes people ask the question, did we make the mistake? Not only did we lose a trade for you know what I'm saying, one of our, young guys who at this point is in the NBA looking like, going to be one of the next stars. If not, he's already there in the NBA. You talk about that, draft picks, everything in conjecture. And the reason why I bring up Kawhi Leonard is because he's a guy that pretty much angled how everything is right now. And I'm going to explain that in a minute. So in 2019, the Clippers and the Oklahoma City Thunder made a trade that shook up the world, right? The Clippers traded for all-star caliber player Paul George for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari, who were 2 NBA players on the Clippers roster at the time. And they traded away a numerous amount of picks, right? 2022 first-round pick, 2024 first-round pick, 2026 first-round pick. They got the Miami 2021 first-round pick as well. The Miami 2023 first-round pick was just protected, and they got 2 pick spots from the Clippers in 2023 and 2025. Right? So that's essentially a rookie at the time, a second-year player, and you got a veteran, a guy, Danilo Gallinari, who was a shooter, and a numerous amount of picks for a guy in Paul George who was coming off his best season that we're going to talk about in a minute that he's ever played. 28 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, 4.1 assists, 2.2 steals. He was All-NBA first team and All-NBA first defensive first team that season. Led the league in steals. He was an MVP finalist. This is Paul George, in my personal opinion, his greatest season he's had in his whole career. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to touch on that. But let's stick to the trade. Now that we're in a situation with the Clippers where, Kawhi has been dealing with these injuries, these freak injuries, being out, the most important times where it matters, and that now you add that in with Paul George leaving the team, it begs the question is, did the Clippers make the right choice or did they make the wrong choice, giving up all these picks that we're talking about we wish we had right now, and a player in SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who just led his team to the first as the first seed last year, as a second round in the second round. This upcoming season is looked to be have another great season and possibly, go deeper into the playoffs. Did the Clippers make the mistake of overstepping and going over the process? We're going to get into that. But let's just read a little bit into it more so y'all can kind of see where I'm going with this. So y'all hold tight. All right. So as y'all can see right here, it says the Clippers acquired Paul George, recruited by Kawhi Leonard, and reported blockbuster deal with Thunder trade grades. It says right here, I'm not going to read everything. It says Los Angeles pulls off something spectacular, and the Thunder got a historic haul. Y'all can see right there a picture of Kawhi and PG, Kawhi with the Toronto Raptors and PG with the Oklahoma City Thunder at the time, the year before. All right, so we're going to read right here. The Los Angeles Clippers acquired superstar forward late Saturday night, just hours before the end of the free agency moratorium. The forward grew up in California, and when he grew dissatisfied with the team that drafted him, he was no secret that he wanted to go home. That plan became complicated, though, when he was traded elsewhere and had a much better time than he expected to. The Clippers needed everything to line up perfectly in order to get him. They're talking about Kawhi Leonard. I'm talking about, of course, Paul George, who asked the Oklahoma City Thunder to trade him to the Clippers after Kawhi Leonard had pitched him on teaming up with him in Los Angeles, per ESPN agent Wojnarowski. Leonard will sign with the Clippers as a free agent, immediately creating a new Western Conference superpower. Oklahoma City will reportedly receive an enormous bounty in exchange for Paul George, Shea Gallinari for unprotected first-round picks, a protected first-round pick, and 2 pick swap. Let's grade the trade. All right, so y'all see the package right there. You got 2 players, you got 6 picks, right? That the Thunder is willing to receive. And I want y'all to pay attention to that because that's going to line up to what my point's going to go off. But basically, that's what they traded for one Paul George. So let me kind of look at what, kind of in a nutshell. So y'all see Clippers right there. That was the year Paul George was OKC, 28 points per game, 8.2 rebounds, 4.1 assists, and 2.2 steals. That's what he was averaging in OKC that year. They traded for him. And then this is what the Oklahoma City Thunder received. They received SGA, who was averaging 10.8 points per game, 3.3 assists, 2.8 rebounds, 1.2 steals. And then Danilo Gallinari was averaging 19 points per game, 6.1 rebounds, and 2.6 assists. As y'all come here and hit that like button. The Clippers at the time, they got an A+ for that grade, right? And then you got the Thunder, who had an A for that grade. So both teams basically, in a way, got what they wanted. As far as the lettering goes. Now, again, when you fast forward to now and you see what then transpired, even a couple years before that, you got people saying that the Clippers lost this trade and they should have never made the move. And I'm gonna give my opinion on everything, but I'm just kind of let y'all, kind of seeing what's going on. So that was the report. That's what was going on. It was on a Saturday night. I remember like it was yesterday. It was during the summer league, and I was driving home, and I read a report. And this was when Kawhi was going through all that circus, where for like a couple weeks, where people were trying to figure out what he was gonna do. People had speculations of him going to the Lakers. That's what it was, reports that he was going to go to the Lakers, and then he was going to stay in Toronto. The Clippers were not even an option. That was a team that no one really thought that he was going to go to. Why is that? Because they couldn't find a second star to team up with him, and media, who really gossip over LeBron James, they wanted to speak into existence to get Kawhi Leonard, but I think Kawhi Leonard kind of was ahead of the curve, not trying to, deal with that whole circus with the Lakers and LeBron. Jerry West mentioned that as well, I think, in a recording when they were recruiting Kawhi, that, Kawhi doesn't want to deal with that shit show. That's what it was, exactly Jerry West's words. And he was correct because Kawhi chose not to go to the Lakers. Now, what was the story, the backdrop of him getting to the Clippers? Because it was obviously done kind of quietly. Like Kawhi Leonard he's about, he's a quiet dude. He doesn't, tell you what he's thinking or what he's doing. So obviously him and the Clippers were in cahoots, and they were in conversations about what was going on. So let me read something to y'all real quick about, what happened during that trade. So there was a report that Doc Rivers and Kawhi Leonard had a conversation. And he said that basically he was the main guy who was against the Clippers trading their young guy in SGA to get another star. This is what Doc Rivers' words were to Kawhi Leonard during the recruiting process. I did say, man, can we give them somebody else? Rivers said, we cannot give up Shea. I even told Kawhi when he was saying, I need another guy. and Kawhi will verify. I kept saying, Kawhi, Shea is going to be a star, right? So at the time, this was Doc Rivers, who was the head coach of the Clippers at the time. He said we could not give up a guy in SGA to get a star player. And I remember this conversation. I remember this being reported that Kawhi was when they came over to Doc Rivers' house. He actually said that he asked Doc Rivers like, when is he gonna? How much time does he need to develop into a star? And I think Doc said he doesn't. You can't tell you, but he said Shea is going to definitely be a star. And as y'all fast forward now, SGA is a star in this league right now. So it's something that Doc Rivers saw in SGA that the rest of the world did not see. Right, being around him every day in practice and what his ability is. He said, basically we can't trade SGA. So let's read a little bit deeper. Now, Doc Rivers continues. He says, I don't believe in my heart that Kawhi would have gone to the Lakers, Rivers said. I think he was coming to us all along, but he had all the cards. I was the only house that he came to. He didn't go to anyone's house in Toronto. He met the Lakers in a hotel room, wouldn't even go to their facility. Yet he came to my house. And I kept saying, he's telling us what he's doing. He's telling us we have him. But he had all the leverage and we had to bite. Now, this is interesting because, again, the title of the video is should we traded should we given Kawhi Leonard? I don't even know what the title is going to be. It's going to be simply, did the Clippers make a mistake trading getting Kawhi Leonard and Paul George? It's something along them lines, the title of this video. But y'all get my drift. When you see this and people were like, well, the Clippers had to make this move or else Kawhi wasn't going to go to the Clippers. According to Doc Rivers, he said the Clippers always had Kawhi. It was always for them to lose. He didn't want to go to the Lakers and he wanted to get out of Canada. That was what Doc Rivers' consensus is, and that's actually pretty believable. Kawhi Leonard did not want to go to the Raptors prior to that. He got traded there from San Antonio, right? Remember, he wanted to go to LA when he was in San Antonio. He didn't want to go anywhere else. But because Greg Popovich and the Spurs, we're not going to trade him to a division rival out of all teams, the Lakers, or give him what he wants. The main thing was that the fact that they felt that Kawhi quit on them, that Kawhi Leonard had a situation with his thigh where they felt like he was milking it and he wasn't actually really hurt. And they were trying to squeeze out another championship. They sent out, and I'm talking about Greg Popovich sent out Manu Ginobili and sent out Tony Parker to set up a meeting to, ask Kawhi, like, what the hell is going on? This was during the middle of the season. And that obviously turned Kawhi off because it felt like you were cornering him. And Greg Popovich, in my personal opinion, at that point did not forget that. Because he knew how great Kawhi was individually and that they could use him. And the fact that you didn't, hit up to call, basically, i.e. play, you're turning your back on the team. And no one is bigger than the team in San Antonio, not even you, Kawhi Leonard. So they sent his ass off to Toronto. A place not even in the States. They sent him so far. They didn't even send him nowhere in the States. They sent him out of the States. That's how much they wanted to stick it to him. And I remember Greg Popovich was doing stuff desperately that I ain't never seen him do. He showed up to San Diego, where Kawhi Leonard lives, in the offseason to basically beg him to stay. Please do not leave. We need you. I will do whatever I can to keep you here. Just stay in San Antonio. And Kawhi's one of them type of people. Once you cross him, when he's done with you, he is done with you. You question his injury. You embarrassed him in front of the national reporters, saying that they didn't know what was going on. You didn't defend him. You didn't defend him. That was pretty much what it really was. You didn't defend him when he was being questioned. And Kawhi was being demonized by Spurs fans. Spurs fans today, there's a lot of them there's many of them who still hold that against them because they feel like he quit. So Pop was doing everything he can to, clean up once he realized that, it was no coming back. And Kawhi said, I'm done. All right, we're gonna get rid of you, but we're not gonna take you where you want to go. So they traded him to Toronto. So he goes to Toronto, gets him a championship. Um, I don't think Kawhi hates. I think he loves Toronto as the city. He thinks the people are friendly and nice, but he's a West Coast kid. He's from California, and as I've said before, when you from out here, you're not looking to really leave. And if you leave, you always come back. What did Kawhi do? He left and he came back. He took a short, stop in Toronto, and he said after that he was going to go he's going to go back to L.A. Nick Nurse, I think at the time, even he said a story that he was going to give everything he had that year in Toronto, and then after that, he didn't know what was going to happen. So Kawhi already had his plan made, like basically stick it to everybody who tried to, doubt him with his injuries. And once I get a championship, now it's about me being happy, and it's about my family after I get this championship. And being in his family is about basically getting home. So that was his next thing, was to get home. So he went to LA. Now, according to Doc, he said he was never going to the Lakers. And I agree with that. Because if you look at it, who's the only guy really who is in Kawhi's way as far as taking over the mantle of the league? It was LeBron. You can put KD there. I don't really look at Steph because, I'm looking at the guys at his position. But KD, KD and Kawhi, I think is kind of a different story. But he's the only guy that really goes at LeBron. I'm talking about Kawhi. He's the only guy who really goes at LeBron. So he wasn't going to the Lakers because he didn't want to be second fiddle to LeBron. He didn't want to deal with the media narrative that it's his fault if they lose. He didn't want to deal with that. So yeah, Doc Rivers to me was right. He was never going to the Lakers. And Toronto, like I just mentioned, I think he loved the city. He loved his time there, but he didn't want to retire there. Like, he didn't want to stay out there. He wanted to go, back home in, California, where the sun shines and, his family and all that stuff, man. It's about that now. So that kind of, puts a little sour taste in people's mouth. This is the last part. He said, Rivers said LeBron asked him how long would it take for Gilgeous-Alexander to become a star. With that's a difficult question to answer, even with the benefit of hindsight, given how different the situation in LA would have been. The situation in OKC has not taken Gilgeous-Alexander long to establish himself as one of the best players in the NBA. So I'm going to talk about SGA in a minute, and I'm going to talk about this trade situation. I'm going to get into my point of what I think. But as y'all can see, Doc Rivers said, it was Kawhi's main thing was how long it's going to take this kid to basically develop. That's what it was. That's what the situation is. So let me get into my hypothesis and what I think, about this whole situation. So hold tight. All right. So let's look into what I feel is the situation and what I think. So when you look at everything in a nutshell, and you look at everything that has been happening, and you look at what the trade consists of, again, you talk about one player for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9 different assets for one. You look at where OKC and the Clippers have been within the last 5 years since the trade. You look at the development and, the product of, SGA and what he's done with the OKC Thunder. You look at what the Clippers have and have not done in the Kawhi and PG era, the 2-1-3 era. So let's just do it like this. I personally feel that if we're going to have this discussion, we got to lay everything on the table. So let's just look back at some stuff right here. Let's look at the numbers of these guys. This right here is SGA's numbers, as y'all can see. Within the last 6 seasons, right? He's been in the league for this is going on his 7th year right now. This is the 7th season. 10 points per game, 19 points, 23, 24, 31, and 30 points per game. Okay. Those are his, first 6 seasons of his career. Steals, blocks, assists, y'all can see all the rebounding numbers, all that good stuff. Y'all can see everything right there. And his career right now is 22.8. He's in his 7th season. That's what he's an average. SGA, in my personal opinion, is a top 10 player right now. He's not top 5 yet, but he's definitely top 10 in my personal opinion. We talk about how he's elevated his team, how he has this team as the number 1 seed in the Western Conference. There's a good chance he's gonna have a number 1 seed this year in the Western Conference as well. The level he's raised his game within the last couple of seasons individually, and then transferred that to his team last year, makes him a top 10 player. I love his ability to play both ways of the basketball. Is he a lockdown defender? No, but what he does, he is active on defense. He roams around. He gets, steals. He's in the passing lanes. He's quick with the ball. He's smart. He's cerebral. He's clutch. He plays very under control. He's not a very, super freak athlete, but he gets the job done through skill, craftiness, and angles, right? And will. That's what he does. He plays the game the right way. He's very simple and straight to the point. Gets to his spots and does what he's supposed to do. So with those attributes, I think that makes SGA a top 10 player in the NBA right now. So this obviously is the guy that Doc Rivers said we should have kept. We should have never got off of. We should have never got rid of. So now that we have done fast forward 5 years ago, what are my thoughts? Well, this is the thing. The Clippers and OKC had 2 different goals. OKC, before the trade, was just looking to revamp their team because of what happened, a couple seasons before, and that was them losing Russell Westbrook. Remember, after they lost Kevin Durant in 2016, it was Russell Westbrook's team for a season. Was it a season or a couple seasons? 26. Yeah, it was for. Yeah, I think it was for 2 seasons. Yeah, 2 seasons, because Westbrook got there in 2019 or in 2018. I'm sorry, and he was there for 16, 17, 17, 18. Then he got moved. He did not make make it past the first round either one of those years. The OKC Thunder were looking at it like they got to move on, so they got rid of Russell Westbrook and brought in Chris Paul. Right, so now that you done brought Russell Westbrook out of OKC, they were looking to find somebody to take the reins. Chris Paul got him to the 5th seed in 2019-2020, with SGA having his first season with the OKC Thunder. And then after Chris Paul leaves, it goes to Phoenix, it becomes SGA's team. So let's look at each year that SGA has been there when it's been his team. So you look at 2019-2020, they were the 5th seed in the Western Conference, but I just mentioned. They were the 2nd seed in the what is OKC in the Southwest Division? Yeah, they're 2nd in the Southwest. And then they go 4 straight years in the Western Conference at the 14th seed, 14th, 10th, and then there was the 1st seed last year. So the first 2 years they struggled. Now let me mention this real quick. SGA actually dealt with injuries those first couple seasons. I think 1 year he played 35 games, and the next year he played 58. Played enough games to be a factor in the 21-2022 season, but he was dealing with injuries, right? 2023, they're the 10th seed, they're in the play-in, they lose to the Minnesota Timberwolves in 1 game, and then last year they jump all the way to the 1st seed in the Western Conference, right? And they're looked at to do the same thing this year. As y'all come there, smash that like button. So I bring up all this is because we gotta talk about where has OKC been and where the Clippers have been. Well, that's what OKC has been since the PG and Kawhi Leonard trade. Where the Clippers have been, first year they get to the semifinals, they lose to the Nuggets in 7 games. You know what happened? They choked away a 3-1 lead. The next year, they go to basically the champ. They go to the Western Conference Finals. They build off of that. Kawhi Leonard gets hurt. He gets injured, but they get to the conference finals. In 2021-2022, both Kawhi and PG missed a lot of time, but they were able to get to the play-in, right? I think they were the 7th seed that year. They were the 7th seed when Kawhi missed the whole year after that torn ACL and PG played 31 games. They were in the play-in as the 7th seed, led by Reggie Jackson, Marcus Morris, and Nicholas Batum, and, Visca Zubac, Luke Kennard, those type of players, right? 2023, they get the 5th seed. Kawhi doesn't play in the playoffs at all, or Kawhi doesn't. He misses. He plays 2 games and he misses the rest of the playoffs against Phoenix. PG misses the whole playoffs, right? And then this past year, they get to the first round. They lose to the first round against the Mavericks. Kawhi does not play. PG plays. He gets moved, to Philadelphia, and then that's all she wrote. So when you compare and contrast the two teams, one team in OKC since the Kawhi and PG, era has been a lower tier team up until last year. And then you compare that to the Clippers, who have been always a playoff team every single year. So like I said, they both had different things that they were trying to do. OKC was looking to be relevant again, just relevant, and the Clippers looking to win a championship. Obviously, that has not happened. So now people look at it as the Clippers lost this trade. So I'm just going to say this. I wholeheartedly disagree. If you ask me, would I have made that move? I would have made that move 10 times in a row. Let's put things in perspective again. I think certain guys get passes that other guys don't get. I think certain guys get raised up that don't need to be raised up. SGA, for all intents and purposes, yes, no one knew he was going to become what he was. And when I say that, I'm talking about be a quote unquote borderline superstar. No one saw that coming. So because that doesn't happen, and because the Clippers have not been able to deliver on a championship, that has fixed people's mouths to say that the Clippers basically made the worst trade in NBA history, which I don't understand how that could be. OKC has been a team that struggled for four straight years before they even got any prominence last year. They've never been better than the Clippers record-wise up until last year. They never were a better team. They never had the better player outside of, Kawhi Leonard was the better player of SGA. And Paul George is a better player at SGA for a number of years, which I'm going to get into that in a minute. When you go back to what Doc Rivers said, that they had to basically kowtow to what Kawhi want, obviously Kawhi did not feel comfortable coming to the Clippers until he got a star player on his team. SGA was not that yet. So basically, if he's not as confident as SGA as the rest of the people were saying that they lost this trade, then you guys basically are saying that Kawhi Leonard didn't have the right idea and he didn't know what he actually needed to win a championship. He's done 1-2 championships already. He was the best player arguably in the NBA at the time. He was coming here with the notion that he wasn't looking to, wait until this kid developed, which took him 6 years to really do that. He wasn't willing to wait for that. So that in itself, to me, shows me that the Clippers and Kawhi Leonard knew what he needed to win a championship. The only reason we ain't won a title is, again, like I said, because Kawhi Leonard, this man's been out the playoffs. He's in the playoffs. We have a championship. Nobody's talking about this. So, like I said, bro, SGA really just came to the party last year. So now that does made people kind of, confident to fix their mouths to say how great SGA is, when in reality, he's really doing what he's supposed to do in his 7th season. 7 seasons he's been in the NBA. He's been to the playoffs deep. He's only made it past the first round one time, and that was against them beating the Pelicans when Zion Williamson did not play at all. Now they could have still probably beat New Orleans without, but I would like to see that series with the Pelicans being healthy. But the seasons before that, where was SGA at? Where was OKC at? They weren't making no deep runs into the playoffs. SGA wasn't, thought of as the guy in the NBA. To be quite honest with you, he didn't really get thought of until Ja Morant got in trouble. You see, that whole Ja Morant getting in trouble opened the door for a lot of players to kind of do what they do. It opened the door for Anthony Edwards. It opened the door for De'Aaron Fox. And it opened the door for SGA. Because Ja was looked at as the best player, one of the best guards in the league until he got in trouble. Now, here's the ironic part. I think SGA is a better player than Ja Morant because he's more polished and he's more skilled and he's more of a, all-around player. I think he's just a better all-around player than Ja Morant. But SGA is 26 going on 27 years old. People act as if a 26, 25-year-old is unheard of him doing stuff individually like what he was doing. As I mentioned before, if you want to look at guys like Paul George, who they traded for, his first 6 seasons, his third year, he got the Pacers to the conference finals against Miami Heat and LeBron James. 2 years in a row. They lost in 7 games the first year he was there, and the second year in 2014 playoffs, they lost in 6 games. Right? So that him going against that prime Miami Heat team, PG did that in his 3rd and 4th season. Excuse me. 3rd and 4th season. Most improved player his 3rd year in his career. SGA didn't do that. SGA didn't get to the conference finals until he never got to the conference finals. In 6 seasons, he's never been there. Right? PG went there back-to-back years. And one of them series is the second year, he was the best player on the court against LeBron, against D Wade, against Chris Bosh. He was the best player on the court. He got the Clippers to the Western Conference Finals. Y'all know they're only Western Conference Finals in their own history. That's what PG did. So I bring that up because, like I said earlier, the only reason we ain't won is because this man hasn't been on the court yet. So what you're really trying to say is, well, let's take Paul George out the picture and put SGA there. Let's say we never traded for Paul George and we kept SGA on the team and Kawhi goes down. How confident are you guys that SGA would have taken us at that time in 2021 to the conference finals? How confident are you guys? Because, and I know the team was different back then, but that's a tall task for anybody to do that. It's a tall task. Right? It's one thing for you to do what you do in the regular season, but you losing to a Minnesota team in the playing game by more than 20 points, a same Minnesota team that y'all say that Karl-Anthony Towns is not the most mentally toughest guy, and you got Anthony Edwards who is younger than SGA, who basically went mano-a-mano with him and put them out. Right? So when people ask, like, what did they trade for, and they made the worst trade ever, understand what you traded for if you're the Clippers. You traded away a guy who was All-NBA first team, All-NBA defensive first team, MVP finalist, and would lead the league in steals that year while averaging 28 points per game. You for a multi-all-defensive team player, SGA ain't that. He's never done that. He's never been an all defensive team player. I don't think he's been he's never been all defensive first team. If I'm not mistaken. He PG was all NBA first team, all defensive first team. You know, people talk about this Indiana Paul George, bro. The OKC Paul George was to me the best one. That's when he was in his prime. That's when he was the most complete player. That's when he was doing everything on the court. And I think he just had that swagger. So y'all hold on 1 second, y'all. All right. So you traded for that top 10 player. And then you traded for the best player in the NBA at that time, which was Kawhi Leonard. 30 points, 8.9 rebounds, 3.9 assists, 1.8 steals in 22 games. That's GOAT status right there. That's something that's historic. See, it's levels to this, as y'all like to say, it's levels to this. There's all NBA players, there's all stars, there's all NBA players, there's all-time great players. 3 levels: all-star players, all NBA players, and all-time great players. This right here is setting the stage for Kawhi Leonard to be all-time great player. This is Kawhi's numbers, you know, the last 5 seasons, obviously, what he's done individually. Now, we do understand he has not been able to have a healthy playoff run, but as far as the player, that's what you traded for. You traded for that type of player. So, in a nutshell, the Clippers made the worst trade in NBA history, and they should have never got rid of Shea. Bro, SGA was never going to be the player he is now with the Clippers under Kawhi Leonard. He was never going to be that. He was not going to be able to do what he's doing next to Kawhi Leonard. I've already broke it down to y'all. Paul George's first 6 years, he got his team to the conference finals 2 separate times. That Indiana Paul George, I think people forget just who the hell he was. SGA ain't did shit like that. He's last year really showed me something about SGA with the type of caliber player he is, but he's a development type of player. He's a guy who had to develop himself. And guys had to kind of just basically be knocked off. And I'm talking about Ja Morant for him to kind of even be in those discussions. No one was speaking about SGA really up until last year. He averaged 30 points per game in the 2022-2023 season. No one was speaking about SGA. I did when I spoke about how the Lakers should trade for him. This was, I think, in 2021 when the OKC Thunder was like a lottery, with damn near a lottery team. I said they should trade for SGA for Anthony Davis because I kind of saw that the whole LeBron James, Anthony Davis duo was going to kind of go to the wayside. And I thought LeBron would fare better with SGA on his team. But I think the Lakers didn't want to do that trade. And I think the Thunder are looking at it like, you know, we ain't going to give him up. We're not giving up our guy either. But no one knew the hell who SGA was, bro. And no one thought of the Thunder until really last year, 23-2024. Again, they were the 10th team in the Western Conference in 22-2023. They were just a young, exciting team. I don't feel this is my thing. If you look at the trade right here, and you think my thing is, I think both sides won the trade. I think both sides won the trade, and I'm gonna tell you why. It's like I said, OKC was looking for a new young star. When Russell Westbrook left the squad and Chris Paul, agent Chris Paul was looking to go to, Phoenix, That opened the doors. That opened the door for SGA. That opened the door for him. So he had to go through a few years of growing pains before they started being somewhat at least respectable, right? So he needed his own team. He needed a team built around his game. That's why I think SGA needed around him. Because if he had stayed with the Clippers, he wasn't better than Paul George at the time, and he damn sure wasn't better than Kawhi Leonard. So he had to get his own squad to be able to rock out on. This whole that the Clippers lost this trade and they should have never traded for this. They should have never traded for that. Bro, you make that trade 10 times out of 10. Who the hell would have thought this guy would be out for 4 straight postseasons? Who would have thought that? You think the Clippers would even, if you told the Clippers that he was going to be out 4 straight postseasons, do y'all think that they would have traded for Kawhi? The answer is no, because you can't use him. But they knew just what they had in their grasp in their hands. And if you trade, and the only way he was going to get here is if you traded for Paul George. It's another thing too. I want to make something clear. Kawhi and Paul George have been tight since college. So they traded. Kawhi wanted to get Paul George back in San Antonio. He's been keeping his eye on Paul George ever since then. It was revealed that Kawhi called PG after Kawhi won that championship in 2019 and asked PG what is he going to do, because he heard that people was trying to get out of OKC, which was Russell Westbrook. This is another, this whole ESPN talk that Kawhi that Russ called Kawhi. Russ called Kawhi, and then he didn't answer his call, and then he called PG. Well, people looked at Kawhi as making a snake move, but it looked like Russ was the one that was doing that. It sounded like to me Russ was the one calling. He was making his moves, and Kawhi caught wind of it, and he informed PG that people were trying to get out of there. So PG put 2 and 2 together, and I guess called Russell Westbrook, and Russell Westbrook had a conversation, and that opened the door for Paul George to leave, because it's like, look, if you're leaving, Russell Westbrook, if you're leaving, well, there's no reason for me to be here because I can't because of you. And if I got a chance to play with a guy who I already talked about playing with early in our careers, who I know if I go over there, it's a great chance we have a championship, and I get a chance to go back home to LA. Oh, sign me up. Sign me up. Sign me up. I'm out of here. Now, these picks, it's another thing about these picks. Guys, picks are only useful if your team is not it doesn't have any star power and they're not looking to win a championship. Once the Clippers receive Kawhi and Paul George, those picks are irrelevant because the years that they gave up are the years they're supposed to be competing for championships. The Clippers' mindset was, we're going to have Kawhi and PG on this team for a number of years, leading the charge and giving us a chance to win a championship or championships. So from 2022 to 2026, that was the plan. Or 2021 to 2026, that was the plan. We're going to have these two at their primes and peak, where the picks those picks don't even matter. Getting rid of SGA don't matter because he's going to take him time to develop anyway. So while he's developing, we're going for a championship right now. That was the mindset. The first year they were picked to be the champions in the bubble. Obviously, they didn't get it done. The second year, they get to the conference finals, and so on, so on. They've been looked at as a top team ever since Kawhi and PG have gotten to the squad. They invested, yes, their future, but the future is almost about to be done, where they're going to get their picks right back after 2026. Now, unfortunately, and this is what really stings, and this kind of what, gives more so the people who said that they lost this trade more ammo. Well, when you get rid of Paul George the way you got rid of him, or he leaves the way he did, now that's where you look at it like, okay, this year and next year could be 2 years where they're not as strong. They're not looked at as one of the top teams. And it's going to be more on Kawhi to have to lead them to a title. That's what's going on when you lost PG for nothing. Because if you're going to lose Paul George for nothing, let's say he went to Golden State. Let's say that Paul George went to Golden State because that was a team that he was eyeing. He really wanted to go to Golden State if the Clippers could not give him this deal. And the package, I believe, included Moses Moody, Andrew Wiggins, I think another player, and there's one report saying Jonathan Kuminga. There's another report that's not saying Jonathan Kuminga. Now, here's my opinion, and shout out to my boy Law Murray for saying this. I remember on the show saying this. You got one group of people saying that Golden State was not going to put Kuminga in that deal. It was crazy. They weren't going to do that. And then you have another group that said, yes, Kuminga was in that deal. I don't know which one is true, but I would not be surprised on either or. I could see Kuminga not being in that deal off the fact of just him as a player and his potential and his ceiling. Right? Basically, last year, Jonathan Kuminga had his best year with the Warriors. Statistically, Kuminga has a lot of upside because of his size, his two-way ability, his scoring ability, and his youth and his confidence. He has a lot going for him, Jonathan Kuminga. So in that note, I wouldn't think they would that he would be untouchable. But on the other side, y'all watched last year like I watched last year. Steve Kerr is not really big on Kuminga, at least from what we've seen. He was not playing him in the big moments. He was not playing him, keep him in the game for the time they should have been keeping him. So Kerr was not big on Jonathan Kuminga. So to get a guy quality player like Paul George and basically team him up with Steph Curry and Draymond Green, because right now, according to the Warriors, they're looking to win right now. They want to extend Steph Curry's his prime, and I don't feel, and it's just my personal opinion, I don't think Jonathan Kuminga is the second option, is your best player on your team. Is leading you to a championship. I don't think that's Jonathan Kuminga. That's what he can't do that right now. He can't be the best player on the championship caliber team, which in this case right now you can look at him as the second best player behind Steph. They're not winning a championship like that. But if you put Paul George in that seat as the second best player next to Steph, a two-way great player who would be in an offense that would suit his game, getting, handoffs or getting screens set by him for Draymond Green, then with a bunch of, younger, great athletic players on that Warriors team, then you have a shot. So I guess what I'm saying is I can see the point where they say, well, Jonathan Kuminga is not untouchable. I can get that point too. If it means I can get a two-way all NBA player like Paul George, I'll get rid of Jonathan Kuminga. But back to my main point, the fact that you got nothing for him and you have to scrape to get, a bunch of guys who are unproven, now it's a toss-up. It could go one or two ways. It can go north or south. Because you didn't get quality players for this guy. So that's what makes it where it's kind of like, okay, maybe we should have not given up all those picks if we weren't going to do nothing with them, or at least get our assets back. But as far as this whole the Clippers lost this trade, and they should have never traded for, they got rid of SGA. Like I said, bro, SGA was not ready. And the OKC Thunder, since they got SGA, has not done anything. If he was such this prominent player and he was able to lead his team, where is the conference finals appearance at? Where is the multiple years of him being a top seed in the Western Conference at? Where's that at? Because if you're really that guy, you should be able to elevate your team to that level of play. You should. But this ain't no hate SGA video. I just think a lot of people overstate this fact that he's just doing stuff that ain't been done before, bro. It's like I say, he's in his 7th season. Ja Morant's younger than him. Trae Young's younger than him. Anthony Edwards is younger than him. I think De'Aaron Fox is like the same age as him. Who else am I thinking of? Luka's younger than him. I think Tatum is even. Well, is Tatum younger than him? They're the same age. So all them guys been to conference finals, multiple conference finals. All those guys have been multiple year after year looked at as the guy on their squads and making noise. Ja Morant ain't never been to the conference finals, and neither is De'Aaron Fox. But I'm just saying they've been more household names than SGA till now. So SGA 26 going on 27 years old is not doing something that ain't been done before. Kawhi Leonard in his 6th season, his 7th season at age 20, was he 27? Kawhi Leonard at age 27 already in his that year with the Spurs was already a top 5 player in the NBA. Already 2-time defensive player of the year. Already a champion. Already on pace to be in the Golden State Warriors super team in the playoffs. Right? That's what you traded for. And you make that move 10 times out of 10. You make that move. So that's my senses of it, bro. I know it's a longer video, but I wanted to put that out there, bro. The Clippers did not. They were right by making that move. Forget, Kawhi Leonard and Paul George over there. Unfortunately, the injuries have been the only reasons why. That looks like, they lost this trade. But nah, man, I'm perfectly fine with the move. And I'm going to be, more excited for the season to, start up. We got a couple days, man. It's going to be a lot of content. It's going to be a lot of, information. Get ready. Until next time, respectfully, pull up a seat, pull up a chair, put live. Peace. Out of here like swimwear.
I've been all around the world, Japan to Amsterdam. Meals nutritious, lifestyle was vicious, yeah. While these out here tried to hate mine, yet I still stood tall on the main line. 2-step, throwing up their gang sign. Roll around the city, big chain, but he ain't signed. Y'all fake tough, little puffs to my canines. Don't forget cracking at them hit boy parties. Probably had your girl naked at them hit boy parties. Big chains, big flexing at them hit boy parties. Nobody trip, cause they knew I had that big boy on me. Yeah, gang of fast living, addicted to cash get. Disrespected to getting the ass whipped. Don't call yourself a baller unless your whole clan get. Plan you got, you ain't working, then you need to plan different.
This on west side over everything. Yeah, this on west side over everything. Yeah, this on west side over everything. Yeah, this on west side over everything.
Yeah, no need for the locks out, baby. baby got her box out. Just dropped her man, now she looking for that knockout. He did her wrong, then he tried to shame, baby. And she was trying to bounce back, so I don't blame, baby. Cause it kick her up, one time fuck her up. A true big homie, I don't hear his name enough. Went through the real movie while y'all snowed on the bluff. Gotta give it up, big homie did his stuff. Now it's all about the bag play. We been around more smoke than an ashtray. Right cheek, left cheek, let her ass shake. On God, I'm 100 to my last day. West side, east side, yeah, I'm both for that. No talking, take off, bro, I'm known for that. 50 M's on the scales, yeah, I'm close to that. Yeah, you on the same mission, yeah, I'm hoping that. Make the money overlap.
This on west side over everything. Yeah, this on west side over everything. Hey, hey, this on west side over everything. Yeah, this on west side over everything.
Throw it up,
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 throw it up. Yeah, that's too hard. Hey, homies. Yeah, 323s, 213s, 310s, 424s. Hey, 818. Yeah, what we missing? 562s, I see. Hey, yeah. Give it up. Hey, give it up. Hey, give it up. Battle Cat. Holla. That nigga Dom Kennedy. Yeah. Gotta love that. Yeah. Corrupt. We love you too.